Hello and welcome to Diplomatic Perspective on Global Television. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Now some stories from around the globe before we get into the discussion for the day. The armed groups that have swept Syrian President Bashar al-Assad are from power must transform their good messages to Syrians into action. According to the information coming from the envoy for Syria in press conference in Geneva, after more than 13 years of civil war in Syria, the government's collapse came in a matter of days in a lighting offense by Islamist rebel group Hayat Malkid Asham. Still in Syria, the Syrian people have destroyed a system of oppression, says Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, following the overthrow of President Bashar al-Assad. Speaking at the AK Party expanded provisional chairs meeting, Erdogan warns everyone who sets their sights on Syrian lands that Turkey made great efforts to bring Syria to its current level. Before we go into the discussion proper for the day, we will let you know that industrialization is the process of transforming the economy of a nation or region to reliance on manufacturing. And today we will be talking about the role of industrialization in international relations, as we have an expert join us after this break. Do stay with us. Most nations depend on their level of industrialization. Sometimes people begin to wonder, why are some nations doing better economically than the others? And you begin to think, and you will come to the conclusion that industrialization has a very major role to play. Another special welcome again on Diplomatic Perspective, where we look at issues that has to do with the economy of nations and international relations. I'm fortunate today to have an expert, an international relations expert with me in the studio, who is going to be doing justice to a few questions, just to make a clarification on so many issues, questions that a lot of people at the diaspora in Nigeria have on their mind. Is none other person than Dr. Ibrahim Biu, an international relations expert, is with me in the studio today. It's good to have you on Diplomatic Perspective.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're talking industrialization today, and as an international relations expert who have already, you've traveled far and near. And as a matter of fact, you know what industrialization is. And majorly, we're looking at the role of industrialization in international relations, because it's obvious that if an economy is doing well, you don't need to beg investors before they come in if you are given to industrialization. Let's get started.
Well, historically, if you look at the history of the economy of the world, you will find that industrialization has been the key driving force for any development of any nation globally. If you look at United States, for example, and most of the Western nations, United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, if you like, you can add China, add Japan. All these countries were prosperous in their development simply because of industrialization. Now, industrialization is not just having just industries, it also helps in solving the unemployment issues in that particular country. If you look at all the aeroplanes that are flying all over the world, it's as a result of industrialization. It's being produced and assembled in a country like United States. It's been assembled and produced in a country like Japan and other countries of the world. Therefore, industrialization is a key driving force for any nation's economic development. Back to Nigeria first, before we go into the real industrialization and the other aspect of everything. I keep wondering, at what point do we derail on industrialization? Because I could remember far back, you will see a lot of industries in places like Kano, in places like Lagos, in places like Kaduna. We have textile in Kaduna. We have cotton industries in so many parts of this country. In fact, at a point, we were even assembling a pijoka in Kaduna. But now, we don't have any industry in Nigeria. And the truth of the matter is, every nation in the world can develop its economy through industrialization. Now, through industrialization, you can add 1 or 2 or 3 more issues that helps to develop the country. Besides industrialization, we have agriculture, we have mining, oil and gas, and we have tourism. Now, if you can industrialize your nation and add 1 or 2 of these things that I mentioned, either agriculture or mining, gas and oil, and tourism, then you're fine, and everything will be moving fine in your country. I can give you a lot of countries, example of a lot of countries. If you take for example the European countries. When we talk about European countries, we are talking about United Kingdom, we are talking about Spain, Germany, Italy, call it. All these countries developed simply because they industrialized their nation. After the industrialization, they also focus heavily on agriculture and animal husbandry.
Yes, Doctor, I think I will need to comment at this point now. As it is, Nigeria is a very blessed nation. We have, if you want to talk about the land mass of Nigeria, it's massive. But then, agriculture is not given the priority. Where did we really get it wrong? And how do you think we can pick it back again?
Well, unfortunately, because look at so many countries that are now, look at United Arab Emirates. They don't develop agriculture at all. What they develop more on it is industrialization, mining, gas and oil, and also tourism. Now, we were at peace some years back. We were at peace with the United Arab Emirates. At a point, we were having about, I could remember specifically during my young age when I was in the university, we were having about maybe 8 aeroplanes, Nigerian Airways, 8 aeroplanes, and United Arab Emirates was having at least only 4. Now, as it is today, the United Arab Emirates is having over 400 flight flying all over the world.
I don't even have
and Nigeria, we don't have any. Why? Simple. Corruption is number one. Lack of focus, maybe bad leaders. I don't know. There are so many things that would derail. And I can specifically remember that the derailment of Nigeria in industrialization and agricultural prospects and other tourism and mines and I don't know, call it, is maybe during the Shagaris regime. I may recall that maybe we derailed during the Shagaris regime, because at that time I was living abroad and I could remember 1 naira at that time, 80s, we are talking about 80s, 1 naira is more than $1 US. 1 naira is more than one US dollars. At that time, you will travel from Nigeria to any European countries with only 300 naira. 300 naira. You can go to any bank in the Western world and change your naira into any of their foreign currencies. Call it pounds, dollars, Canadian dollars, and whatever, Deutsche Mark during German government. So we totally derailed because of maybe our leaders were not having a focus about how will Nigeria be in the next 10 years, 20 years. We have land. We have vast land. Look at the northern part of the country. Look at the all part of Nigeria. Travel from Abuja, going to Kaduna, Kano, Jigawa, Borno. Travel from here, going to Makodi.
The land mass is there.
South Africa developed South Africa. Now, for example, if they talk about which country in Africa is developing, South Africa, they will call South Africa before Nigeria. South Africa developed because of 2 things. 1, industrialization. 2, agriculture. To a point that even some South African farmers were coming to Nigeria to farm. Unfortunately, they have to go back because insecurity is there, corruption is there, lack of leadership is there, lack of intensives are there, lack of electricity.
Oh, okay, Doctor. Let's get back to the role of industrialization. You talked about agriculture. You talked about what was happening in the north, especially Kaduna. That one caught my fancy when we were talking about the assembling of Pujo cars,
yes,
in Nigeria. Now, it's something very difficult to do in Nigeria right now, especially in that access. Now, if all these things were in place, because one of the things that the president will tell you right now is part of the reasons he's been traveling is to woo investors. Do you think, because we're talking about the role of industrialization in international relations, now, do you feel if all these things were in place, would we have gotten investors coming in without us even begging? And how would that have been?
Absolutely. The coming of investors is natural. It comes, you don't have even to go and call investors to come. When investors are coming to any country, first and foremost, they ask so many questions. They ask about corruption, they ask about electricity, they ask about labor forces, they ask about regulations of the country. They ask so many questions. They have a lot of boxes to tick. So look at a country like Singapore. People are investing in Singapore. Look at a country like United Arab Emirates. People are investing in the United Arab Emirates. Malaysia, India, call it. Why are they doing that investment? Security is guaranteed. Electricity is there. No corruption. You know, there are so many factors to put into consideration. So unless and until we move towards making sure that we eradicate all these ills in our society, it's going to be very difficult for investors to come in and invest their money, because it's not easy for them. A lot of countries, I could remember just some few weeks ago, I was reading a very huge Switzerland company exited Nigeria. It's so sad that they exist in Nigeria. So many other countries are existing in Nigeria. If you look at MTN, it's a South African company invested in Nigeria. The cost of phone call in Nigeria is more expensive than other normal countries, because they look at electricity, they have to generate their own energy. There is so many things are around there. So I think our leaders need to look focused. They need to be focused on really developing this nation. Don't forget, industrialization will serve so many purposes. It's a key to the driving force of our economy. It's also important for us to understand that industrialization reduces the unemployment drive that we are having in Nigeria. Go to all the 774 local government areas in Nigeria and see the high level of young people that are not employed. They will be engaged. I think instead of us to waste our time trying to look for investors to come into our country, why don't we make it a law, even if it is going to be constitutionally, to make sure that every state create 2 industries in their own state. We have so many things: cotton industry, producing even this KK that people are using. We are in tricycle, and let's be even needle, even matches. So many things that can be produced in Nigeria locally. Even rice mill. We don't have all this. We keep buying rice from Vietnam, from Thailand, you know, instead of us to produce our own. Even groundnut oil. Even there are so many things that industrialization will boost, and then we can export our product to the international market. Our naira will be very strong. Our GDP will be strong. We will improve. But the whole matter is that there is no leader with that focus, and we are watching. We are seeing what is happening. I have traveled to over 70 countries of the world, including the so-called developing countries, and also the developed countries. I have lived there. Take, for example, country like New Zealand, where I'm staying now. New Zealand depends on 2 things, only 2 things: industrialization. There is no way you can move around. In any small village, you will see there is an industry. And secondly, they depend on agriculture and animal husbandry. With that, they have enough money to pay the expenses of moving their country forward. This is some of the things we need to do in this country.
But okay, Doctor. We're about rounding up, but then you're talking about industrialization right now. But what about a situation whereby the economy of the nation is not ripe enough? Because one of the things we are facing right now is the economic situation, the dwindling nature of the economy. Now, let's link it with the excessive borrowings that we are having in this country right now. Do you think channeling this borrowing, okay, to bring up industries, do you think it's going to make any difference in our economy?
Absolutely. When we borrow this money, what do we do with that money? When we borrow this money, we need to invest that money in industrialization. We can cooperate with so many other countries. We have a lot of Chinese, we have a lot of Indians, we have a lot of foreign investors. We can say, okay, let's do 50-50. And develop. If we Nigerian, because of Nigerian factor, because in everything, keep in mind there is a Nigerian factor. And Nigerians cannot run a good company because of the Nigerian factor. People who don't care about their job, they don't come to work, they are corrupt, they only want immediate thing, they don't think about the future. If you set up an industry or set up a company, for people globally, people think about what will I achieve in the next 10 years. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, what they achieve now, their pocket. That's all. They don't care about that company. As far as they are concerned, they're on. And within a short time, the company will collapse. That is Nigeria. So to operate in Nigeria is a hilarious tax that is not easy to do. But, gradually I hope and pray that we can have leaders with focus, with commitment, with patriotism, and concern about the future of the country.
Okay, let's look into the future a little bit now. This is 2024. We're trying to transit into 2025 as a matter of fact. Looking at this administration came up with a lot of policies, and we're being made to understand that these policies are all encompassing. Now we are being concerned about industrialization because we have known, you are already spelling out the importance and where it's going to take the economy. Do you see this administration as an administration that should put this into consideration? And for us to get industrialized, how long do you think it's going to take Nigeria?
Well, it will take at least a period of 5 to 10 years for us to properly industrialize. Look, there are two things in Nigeria. Forget about tourism. Nobody will come to Nigeria as a tourist. Absolutely, you know that. So the only way we can improve with our economy or driving force, which I believe this administration is trying its best according to what we are reading and according to what we are seeing. However, the borrowing that we are borrowing, this borrowing should be injected in agriculture, it should be injected in industrialization. While we have our bastardized mining and oil and industry, because see what is happening in the Niger Delta. Every day we are reading news that people are having their own private refinery. Look at the Port Harcourt refinery, look at Kaduna refinery, Dangote refinery, and all their stuff. We should have industry. We should get focus on using the money, the little meager amount of money we are getting to industrialize the country, and equally to make sure that we put heavy commitment to agriculture and animal hands husbandry. By doing that, it's going to be a very strong driving force for us to move as a developed as a country.
Oh, all right, we're rounding up now. That's so emphatic. Nigerians and people at the diaspora have been educated already. Now, finally, before I let you go, do we need to leave all of this in the hands of government alone, or individuals and Nigerians have a role to play as well?
Well, Nigerians have the role to play. You see, the problem we're having in Nigeria is mindset. We need to change our mindset. Unfortunately, most Nigerians have not traveled to see the other side of the world. They only believe in the Nigerian factor. They only believe in making quick money, immediate money, 1 month money. At 20 years or 30 years, you want to make money within a short period of time. In China, in America, in so many developed countries, they don't look at it that way. They look at it a long term before you can achieve. Therefore, for us to achieve, there is need for a total orientation of the mindset of Nigerians. I wish and pray that most of our young Nigerians travel out of this country, so that they can see how things are being operated.
But they won't want to come back again. You know how the Jackpot syndrome is.
I agree with you. They would like to come back because there things are all right. No problem with electricity, no security challenges, no corruption. People are following the rules and order. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we don't do that. So it's unfortunate. So I think the government need to work on the mindset of Nigerians.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. This is going to be the size of diplomatic perspective. Well, you've been hearing the voice of Dr. Ibrahim Biu, an international relations expert, and he has advanced reasons why we need to industrialize Nigeria so that Nigeria can be a country that everyone will want to come and invest without us even begging. Unemployment will become a thing of the past if all of this comes into place. 3 keys he has given us: industrialization, agriculture, and tourism. Thank you very much once again for coming around.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, thank you for keeping a date with us on Diplomatic Perspective. We would come on your way again for the next edition. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Bye-bye for now.